Okay, so here we are at the washback. This is actually the one we did yesterday, so that actually makes it quite interesting. 24 hours into the fermentation, it's really interesting. So as we're filling the washback, we pitch our yeast in. Now all distillers, in my view, should want to pitch their yeast quite early as they're filling the washback. You don't want to put it in too late. You want your yeast to take hold. You don't want any kind of wild yeast coming in. It's quite warm in here. I mean, we can feel it's quite warm in here. You guys obviously can't, but it's actually quite warm in here. Most of the year, I pretty much wear shorts to work. It can hit 40 degrees in the distillery in the summer, so it's very, very hot in Norfolk. In the winter, we can still, with all the windows open on the distilling floor, be hitting 25, 26, 27 degrees, even in the middle of winter, so it's really hot in here. So nice and early, and that's going to get the yeast kind of working quite quickly. So as we're filling the vessel, the yeast goes in. Now I could tell you what yeast we're using, but I'm not going to. There has to be some secrets to distilling. So I'm not going to tell you what yeast we use, but what I will say is we have quite a fast fermentation. We have a long fermentation, but it's quite fast. What I want to produce here is lots of esters. So those lovely kind of pineapple, banana-y, very fruity kind of complexes in the whiskey. So it's very light in style, as we're going to find out in a minute when we look at the stills. But you've got these lovely fruity, as I said, banana, ripe bananas, pear drops, really lovely light fruits coming through. And you want a fairly fast fermentation to do that. So I said this one's been in here for 24 hours. Now for me, that's the nicest time. 24 hours in, I can smell it just standing here. So this is peated. I can still smell that fruit. I can still smell those pear drops. I can still smell those bananas. So I'm getting those lovely light fruity estery compounds off this. Now this will actually finish fermenting. The yeast will have consumed all the sugar probably by tomorrow afternoon. So in another 24 to 30 hours time, the sugar's gone. So we're not going to be able to produce any more alcohol. So I've already touched on the fact that we're making flavour compounds, these light fruity compounds, and aroma compounds. The yeast is also releasing alcohol. It's predominantly ethanol from a grain fermentation. It's also releasing some CO2, which is why this is bubbling up a little bit. This is quite subdued, this one. It can come up a little bit more, but quite subdued, but a nice fermentation nonetheless. For me, leaving the liquid in contact with the yeast, you slightly develop these, you can get them on certain whiskies, these slightly nutty compounds. So on our whiskies, it comes through as almost like a slightly marzipan, almondy, hazelnut kind of complex. And that's just coming really from leaving this liquid, which we call wash, in contact with the yeast a little bit longer. We just don't want to bang it through as fast as possible. Being a small distillery, we can take our time. You know, what we want to do is produce the best flavours that we can and the best quality that we can. And that takes a little bit of time, so we want to do it slowly. So 3 to 4 days here pays dividends in the flavour of the whiskey. Have a sample of it here. So this is what is in here after 3 or 4 days. So as you can see, it clearly isn't beer, or rather not clearly, it isn't beer. It's very yellow in colour. It's just full of yeast cells. So this is what distillers refer to as wash, as I've just said. It's normally between 7 or 8% alcohol. So, I mean, if that was a beer, it's a pretty strong beer. Probably the only thing you need to know about this stuff is it tastes as good as it looks, which probably tells you everything you need to know about it. Now, we're not too worried that it doesn't look, smell or taste great, because as distillers, we don't want to drink this stuff. Distillers produce wash for one reason only. Distillers produce wash so that we can turn it into whiskey. And to do that, we need to distill it.